Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we are going to talk about SQL subqueries, which is one of the most important topics in SQL. So subqueries will help us to write more advanced queries and extract data efficiently. So by this end of this video, you'll be able to use subqueries confidently in your SQL projects. Okay, so let's quickly start. So I have already created the tables where we have these tables will be used in all of the examples which we are using. Okay, and there we have employees table which will store the employee details, and we have this department table which will store the department info. Okay, so now what is a subquery? That is the major question, right? So a subquery is a query inside another SQL query. It's also called inner query or nested query. So the main query containing the subquery is called the outer query. Okay. So subquery we can use it in like select statements, in where clause, from clause, having clause, right? So they help us perform operations that require multiple steps. Okay. Now let's now let's take an example. Okay, first of all, let's just use subquery in where clause. Okay, and for that, let's take an example here. Like we need to find the employees whose salary is greater than the average salary. And for that, what we have to do, we have to first of all calculate the average salary, right? So for that, what we can do is like we can select and then we can select the average salary. Okay, and from where? From the employees. And let's check that and let's quickly run this. And as you can see over here, the average salary is 5,300. And what we need to find? We need to find the employees whose salary is greater than the average salary. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write another query. So here I have added the query where what I want the name and the salary. And like this inner query over here, but it's calculating the average. And based on that, what we are doing, we are actually checking that if it's greater than our average salary. Okay, so the outer query, which will select the employees whose salary is greater than the average. And if I run this, let's quickly do that. And if you see here, there are two employees like this, Bob and Karen. They should both have like more than the average salary. So using this is where we can use where clause and we can use subquery to do that. Okay. Let's quickly comment it out. And we can use subquery and similarly in with in operator. Okay. So first of all, let's take another example. Now let's say if I want to find employees who work in HR and IT. If you see the IDs are like department IDs are 1 and 2. So for that, let me write the query quickly. And here, what I have added a subquery and I am using in clause over here. Okay. So what we are doing over there, we are trying to like find the employees who work on HR and IT. So that's why we are using in over here and we are giving 1 and 2 the IDs. Okay. If I quickly run this, so here I'm getting all the employees, like only one employee is from sales, like if other four employees are from either HR or IT. So here, what inner query it is doing like this is where our inner query is. Okay. So here, what it does, it fetches HR and IT only. Okay. And then the outer query here, what we are doing, we are selecting the employees whose department matches with HR and ID. Okay. And that is why we are using in clause. So I hope you have understood this one as well. Now let's talk about subquery in select clause. Okay, now here our goal is like, let's say we want to show employees salary and the average salary of their each department. Okay, so for that, let me write the query quickly. So using this query, what we want actually, we want to show the salary and the average salary, okay, of their department. For that, what we are doing, we are writing an inner query. Okay, so here if I explain you the code, like here, E1 is the alias for the outer query, E2 is the alias for the inner query. Okay, for each row of E1, okay, here the each employee, the inner query calculates the average. So the inner query here, it's calculating the average actually. Okay, and then the condition here we are writing over here like E2 department is equal to E1 dot department. Okay, so it will ensure that the average is department specific. Okay, so we are calculating the average of each department. Okay, and this is what we call a correlated subquery because of the inner query depends on the outer query's current row. And if I quickly run this, so I should get the salary and the average salary of the department. So I'm getting the salary, and if you see, I'm getting the average salary of each department. Like for HR, it's 4750. For IT, it's 65,000, right? It's 6,500. And for sales, it's 4,000. I hope you got it, right? We call this type of subquery correlated subquery because the inner query depends on the outer query's current row because each time a new department will be there. And based on that, we're calculating the average. Okay. Now let's comment this out. And lastly, we talk about some like subquery in from calls. Okay, let's not use from. So here, let's say our goal is we want to show the departments with the average salary, which is more than 5,000. So in our case, if we see in IT, we have and Bob and Carol, right? Both of them have more than 5,000 salary. Okay, so our task is to find the departments with the average salary more than 5,000. Okay, so let me quickly add the query over there. So here I have added the query as you can see over here. And as you can see, the inner query actually calculates the average salary per department. Okay. And the outer query filters the department with the average salary. And we are putting this condition over here, as you can see, where average salary is more than 5,000. And using the subquery in from treats us as a temporary table. So here I'm using this. Here we are calculating the average salary per department. And based on that, we're putting this condition over there. Okay. So if I run this quickly, so we are getting the department ID over here and the average salary is 6,500. Okay. Now here, these are the key things to remember. See, subqueries must be enclosed within this parenthesis. Okay. Always remember that we have to use parenthesis. They can return single values. Okay. Or they can return multiple values, kind of a list or a table, right? So we can use correlated subqueries when the inner query depends on the outer query, just like here we have used in this case, right? And subqueries make complex queries easier to manage. With the help of this, we can write subqueries and we can manage the complex queries, right? So that's it for SQL subqueries. And today we learned about what are subqueries, what are subqueries in where, select, and from clause, correlated subqueries, and some practical examples with tables, right? Try to practice these examples on your own database to get comfortable. I hope you understood it, and I'll see you in the next one.